Today's lesson is Vancouver Island, Canada's West Coast paradise. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Helen.
And Helen and I are both Americans, but we do dearly love our neighbors to the north, Canada, and there are lots of places in Canada to check out. Helen, have you been to Canada before?
Well, I've only been to Toronto. That's the only place I've been to in Canada, but I would love to explore it more. The only thing that is stopping me is the cold weather because I am really fearful of the cold, so that's one reason why I haven't gone deeper into Canada to explore its beautiful nature and its various cities and towns.
Indeed. Well, it is a big country, and it will take probably many lifetimes to explore all the places that Canada has to offer. When I was a kid, we took several family trips up to Canada, Montreal, and to Saskatchewan, Alberta, Vancouver, and even Vancouver Island. So, of course, I can tell you from personal experience that Canada is a great place to check out, especially Vancouver Island. And we were taking a tour last time of the city of Victoria, which is the provincial capital. And we also stopped in Coombs, which is famous for its goats that live on the roof of the market. Or you could also have some ice cream at the popular Billy Gruff Creamery. So you can choose from 70 flavors of ice cream.
That's right. So that's Coombs, and you can get some nice souvenirs there as well if you want to bring some things back to your family and friends after your visit to Vancouver Island. And now we're going to continue looking at what else there is to do on Vancouver Island, as there really is so much to see and do. And that's what we're going to do in the next part.
Vancouver Island's west coast contains Pacific Rim National Park, which comprises three main areas: Long Beach, the Broken Group Islands, and the West Coast Trail. Long Beach is Vancouver Island's top surfing spot, and it attracts visitors all year round. The Broken Group Islands, which are made up of over 100 tiny islands, are home to diverse wildlife. Go whale watching for a chance to see numerous marine creatures, including whales, sea lions, sea otters, and seals. The West Coast Trail stretches along 75 kilometers of beaches and rainforest. One of the most popular treks is the Rainforest Trail, which features enormous centuries-old trees that will make your jaw drop.
各位好，第一部分我们看到单字 comprise， 这个字是动词，指包括或是由点点点组成。例如 The United Kingdom comprises England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. 英国由英格兰、苏格兰、威尔斯和北爱尔兰所组成。或是 Three separate teams comprise Jeff's department. Jeff 的部门是由3组个别的团队所组成。接下来我们看到形容词 numerous， 指众多的或是无数的，像是 There are numerous problems with your idea, so I don't think it will work. 你的构想有许多问题，所以我不认为它行得通。也可以说 Police received numerous noise complaints about the party. 警方收到相当多针对那场派对制造噪音的抱怨。另外补充这个字的同义词 multiple。multiple, multiple, 意思是众多的。我们可以说 The teacher made multiple copies of the test review and handed them out to her students. 老师印了很多份试题解析，并发给学生。又或者说 The company was fined for multiple safety violations. 那家公司有多项安检违规被罚款。再来我们看到名词 trek， 表示艰苦旅行或是长途跋涉。例如 The boys took a trek through the valley to reach the river where they wanted to fish. 那群男孩长途跋涉，经过了山谷后，抵达了他们想要钓鱼的河川。或者 After a long trek, the team finally reached the summit. 在长途跋涉过后，那支队伍终于攻顶了。另外 trek 也可以当作动词，表示长途而辛苦的旅行，像是My adventurous brother trekked across the snowy field wearing only his sandals. 我爱好冒险的弟弟只穿着凉鞋就跋涉过积雪的原野。或者 Trekking to the top of the mountain was tiring, but the views were amazing. 长途跋涉到山顶很累人，不过景色美极了。接着我们看到片语 somebody's jaw drops， 指令某人瞠目结舌，目瞪口呆。例如 The audience's jaws dropped when the stuntman leapt off the building. 当特技员从大楼一跃而下时，观众们全部都瞠目结舌。或者 Hearing that my colleague won the lottery made my jaw drop. 听到我同事中了乐透，令我大吃一惊。
Okay, everybody, let's talk about the first part of our lesson. Remember last time we were talking about some of the quaint and charming villages along the east coast of Vancouver Island. That's the coast that will face the mainland of Canada, of British Columbia there. But now we're going to the west coast, which faces out to the Pacific Ocean there. And Vancouver Island's west coast contains Pacific Rim National Park, which comprises three main areas: Long Beach, the Broken Group Islands, and the West Coast Trail. So again, we're going to the West Coast, and while you're on the West Coast there, you can go to Pacific Rim National Park. Pacific here, of course, refers to the Pacific Ocean, which is straight to the west of Vancouver Island, and it means the edge of the island there is right next to the Pacific Ocean, hence the name Pacific Rim National Park. And it comes in three areas. It has three areas, or it comprises three main areas. It is made up of three main areas, which are, again, Long Beach, the Broken Group Islands, and the West Coast Trail.
Now, let's look at the verb comprise here. To comprise means to include or to be formed by multiple things. Usually, when we are talking about one thing being made up of its separate parts, then we can say that the house is comprised of 3 rooms, for instance. Or you can say 3 rooms comprise the house. That is the traditional way of using comprise, but these days, a lot of people just switch them around. So you can say that a house comprises 3 rooms, or you can say 3 rooms comprise a house. And here we're talking about the Pacific Rim National Park, which is comprised of 3 main areas: Long Beach, Broken Group Islands, and the West Coast Trail.
Okay, so let's talk about the beach. First of all, Long Beach is Vancouver Island's top surfing spot, and it attracts visitors all year round. So indeed, if you like surfing, if you like to stand on that board and ride waves into the beach there, this is the place for you. And you can go there all year round. Canada does get cold. I suppose if you wear the proper clothing, you can do some great surfing even in the middle of winter.
That's right. So the Broken Group Islands, which are made up of over 100 tiny islands, are home to diverse wildlife. So this group of islands, it's actually made up of a lot of little islands, hundreds of them, and they are the home to diverse wildlife. Wildlife refers to the plants and animals that live in their natural conditions, in their natural environment. So a lot of plants and animals make these islands their home, their natural environment.
Yep, it got lots of diverse wildlife there, including plants and trees and bushes and, again, wild animals and even fish and stuff like that. You could go whale watching for a chance to see numerous marine creatures, including whales, sea lions, sea otters, and seals. So you can probably arrange a tour where they will take you out on a boat to check out some whales there. You might see some orcas passing through, or some blue whales or whatever. And you might see numerous marine creatures. Numerous just means many here, and with a lot of variety. And those marine creatures, those animals that live in the sea, could include whales, sea lions, sea otters, and seals. They would be a sight to see.
Yes, and there are numerous reasons why I would like to visit Vancouver Island, and seeing these sea creatures is one of the reasons. So the West Coast Trail stretches along 75 kilometers of beaches and rainforest. So the West Coast Trail trail, a trail that you can walk on to look at the scenery, is quite long. It's 75 kilometers and it covers beaches and rainforest. One of the most popular treks is the Rainforest Trail, which features enormous centuries-old trees that will make your jaw drop. So one of the most popular treks, a trek is a long and often difficult journey on foot. It could also refer to a path that you use to take this journey on. And that popular trek is called the Rainforest Trail.
So this is a popular trek here. You need to probably bring along some equipment there, and you can hike on the Rainforest Trail, and you can see those really old trees. It says they are centuries-old trees. They are hundreds of years old, and they will make your jaw drop. Wow, that is so cool. That tree is so old. It beheld the birth of the emperors during the Tang Dynasty. Isn't that fantastic?
Right. So if something makes your jaw drop, then it means that it really, really surprises you or it shocks you. You can also use the adjective jaw-dropping. So you can describe something as jaw-dropping if it's really surprising. For instance, I could say that the price of the luxury car made my jaw drop, or he bought the luxury car at the jaw-dropping price of $1 million.
Ooh, that's a lot. That would make my jaw drop. It would make me lose my breath. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our discussion about Vancouver Island's west coast. Let's continue to go north on Vancouver Island and find out some more.
In the north, head to the remote village of Alert Bay to discover local indigenous culture. The village's Umista Cultural Center features an impressive collection of masks and other artifacts belonging to the Kwakwaka'wakw people. A few blocks away is the Numgis traditional big house, where ceremonies and other cultural events take place. If you're lucky, you might even get to watch a traditional dance performance while you're there.
最后，第二部分我们看到名词 artifact， 指手工艺品。例如 hundreds of artifacts from ancient times are on display in the museum. 几百个古老手工艺品在博物馆展出。又或者说 Lisa collects artifacts made by Native American people. Lisa 收集美洲原住民制作的手工艺品。
In the north of Vancouver Island, head to the remote village of Alert Bay to discover local indigenous culture. So at Alert Bay, you can discover indigenous culture. Indigenous refers to people or culture that existed for a very long time before other people came to live there. So when we talk about indigenous people or indigenous culture in the United States, for instance, we are often referring to the Native American people or their culture. And here, Canada's Alert Bay also has an indigenous culture that people can explore and learn about.
Exactly. If you're here in Taiwan, of course, you can explore local indigenous culture in the East Coast and down south and central ranges and stuff like that. And you can go to various villages and experience local indigenous culture. And you can do the same on Vancouver Island. First of all, we're going to Alert Bay to discover local indigenous culture. And the village's Umista Cultural Center features an impressive collection of masks and other artifacts belonging to the Kwakwaka'wakw people.
Right. So you can see masks there and other artifacts. An artifact is an object that was made a long time ago, and it's become historically important because it tells you something about the people and the culture that made it. So an artifact could be a mask, it could be a tool or a weapon, a tool that was used to cook food or to build furniture, or a weapon that was used for hunting.
Exactly. So if you're into that sort of thing, you can check out the artifacts there. And they have an impressive collection of masks. And a few blocks away is the Namgis traditional big house, where ceremonies and other cultural events take place. So it's not too far away. It's a few blocks away, and you'll see the traditional big house called Namgis. And that's where ceremonies and other cultural events take place for this group of people. Now, if you're lucky, you might even get to watch a traditional dance performance while you're there. So indeed, it does have lots of things to offer if you're into indigenous culture. And even if you aren't, you can probably learn a lot of things while you're there. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's wrap things up with the third and final part.
From the historic streets of Victoria to the wild waters of the Broken Group Islands, there's something for everyone on Vancouver Island. Adventure awaits you on these beautiful West Coast shores.
So we've arrived at the conclusion of our lesson on Vancouver Island, Canada's West Coast paradise. So to wrap things up, we're just going to sum up everything that we can see on Vancouver Island, from the historic streets of Victoria to the wild waters of the Broken Group Islands. There's something for everyone on Vancouver Island. So it doesn't matter what you're interested in. You might be a nature freak, or you might be interested in culture or in food. You'll find something that will interest you, that will delight you on Vancouver Island.
Pretty cool, and it is an island, and I believe there are no roads that go out there. The only way to get there is to fly there or to take a ferry there. And when I went there on a family trip when I was a kid, we took the ferry from Vancouver City over to Vancouver Island, and we got off at the town of Nanaimo. If I had known then, I would have stopped at a local bakery and picked up some Nanaimo bars, but I didn't know about them then, so I didn't get to try them, and that's one of my biggest regrets about the last trip we took to Canada when I was a kid. But in any case, yes, it's a pretty cool place to check out. And Helen, you did say you've never been there before, but you have been to Toronto, right?
Yes, I have been to Toronto, but I'm very intrigued about these Nanaimo bars. I've seen them, and I know more or less what they're made of, but I've never tasted one. Can you describe those bars? Well, I mean, what actually do they contain?
I believe they have many different recipes for them, but they contain lots of different ingredients that all sound very, very yummy. I guess they're kind of like brownies in a way, but in any case, that's probably not the only thing you can eat on Vancouver Island. There are probably lots of local specialties that you can check out, especially in the city of Victoria. And again, you probably need to take a ferry to get there if you're driving across Canada. And then you can probably take a ferry from Victoria down to Washington State if you want to check out Seattle and places down there.
Well, that sounds like a very interesting trip, and I hope to be able to take it soon when the world becomes safer once again.
Well, that's probably the top of one of my travel lists, although I think I'd rather go to the other side of Canada. I've always wanted to go to the Maritime provinces, and I can't wait to go there. Okay, well, we've got to say goodbye, so thanks for joining us, and now it's time to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始介绍了太平洋沿岸国家公园，它包括3个主要区域：长滩、破碎群岛和西海岸步道。好，文中它是用到动词 comprise 来表达包括由什么什么组成的意思。那我们来学习它的字首字根。好，当你看到 PRIS或者是看到 PREHEND， 那或者是有拼作 PRE 这一类的字根呢，它就有 seize、grasp、hold 的意思，是表达抓紧抓住。像 prison 监狱就可以看出这个字根的语义吧。好，那我们在 comprise 这个字当中，它的字首 COM 表示一起完全，那字根 prise PRISE 表示紧握，那完全紧握、完全抓住某事物，就意味着这东西是你拥有的嘛。那用这个方式去联想到说 comprise 它就有包括的意思咯。好，我们顺便补充几个有这一类字根的单字。第一个是 imprison， 它的字首 IM 是来自 IN， 只是因为 IN 它如果摆在 B、M 或是 P 之前就会拼作 IM。 好，那这个字首它表示使进入的意思。 Prison 我们知道是监狱，所以合在一起 imprison 这个动词就表示关押监禁的意思咯。那第二个补充的是 comprehend C-O-M-P-R-E-H-E-N-D 它的字首 C-O-M 表示完全，字根P-R-E-H-E-N-D 表示抓紧抓住。哇，听起来怎么很像我们那个 comprise 的那种感觉，完全抓住呢？好，其实 P-R-E-H-E-N-D 在拉丁文当中，它有用心思意志去捕捉的那种隐喻，多半就带有领悟理解的意思。所以在这边它感觉就像是比较抽象的去抓住某个 idea， 去完全的理解那个东西。所以 comprehend 这个字就表示理解领悟。好，再补充第三个单字是 apprehend A-P-P-R-E-H-E-N-D 它的字首 A-P 是来自 A-D 表示朝向， P-R-E-H-E-N-D 表示抓住。我们朝向某个人把他抓住，应该就可以去想到说 apprehend 它有逮捕的意思，那这是比较正式的用字，通常用来表达说警方逮捕罪犯啊、嫌疑犯。好，我们刚刚不是说这个字根 P-R-E-H-E-N-D 多半也会带有领悟理解的意思吗？所以 apprehend 它其实还有察觉理解的语义，只是这个用法比较少见了。我们在字典上也会看到它会特别注明这个用法是属于 old fashioned， 所以要特别注意。好，再看到课文第二部分，它建议我们去 Alert Bay 去探访当地的原住民文化，在那边呢可以看到令人印象深刻的面具和其他手工艺品。好，文中用到 artifact 这个名词来表达手工艺品，我们来学习它的字首字根。好，看到 F-A-C 或是 F-A-C-T 或者是 F-I-C 或是 F-I-C-T 还有看到 F-E-C-T 这些字根都表示做啊、制作或是产生。像 fact 这个名词它表示事实，就是源自于实际上有做某件事，实际上有做的事情这样的概念去表达。好，那么还有像 factory 工厂，manufacture 制造，这些字当中也都有字根 fact， 都跟制造有关嘛。好，那现在我们来看到在 artifact 这个字当中，它的字首 art 表示艺术， fact 表示制作，那中间再用字母 I 去连接这两个部分， I 只是用来连接这个复合字的两个要素，所以合在一起制作手工艺，那么 artifact 就表示手工艺品啊、人工制品的意思咯。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Pacific. The scientists took samples from the Pacific waters near Antarctica. Comprise. The art gallery's collection comprises 83 paintings from the 19th century. Wildlife.Take all the photos you like, but please don't approach the wildlife. Numerous. I have worked with Thomas on numerous occasions. Indigenous. The government is working hard to promote indigenous languages. Artifact. The cave contained many ancient artifacts.
Discussion Starter starts now!
It's time now for our discussion starter, and the question is, if you were to visit Vancouver Island, what would you spend your time doing and why?
Well, I'm really interested in Indigenous culture, so if I were to visit Vancouver Island, I would spend most of my time on Alert Bay, where I can learn about the Indigenous culture of that part of Vancouver Island. And I would be really interested in visiting the Umista Cultural Center because I would want to look at the collection of masks and all of the other artifacts that are on display there.
Well, I think the east coast of Vancouver Island sounds incredible because of all those quaint villages that are dotted along the coast there. I just love those small towns. I love strolling around and checking out the little stores and stopping to talk to locals or other tourists and stuff like that. I think it would be a fantastic way to spend a vacation. Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoyed reading along with us. I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.